एक वर्ड, बस एक वर्ड की वजह से IIM की सीट चली गई. I'm not being dramatic. CAT 2025 happened. The VARC section sat in front of 3.3 lakh students, and the students who scored 99 percentile didn't read more than you, they didn't study longer than you, they just understood something that most coaching institute won't tell you. Vocabulary in CAT is not about memorizing 5,000 words. It's about understanding 5 words per passage, the right 5 words at the right moment. If you don't know what equivocal means, when it appears in a tone-based passage, you're not picking between 4 options anymore. You are guessing. And in CAT, guessing costs you a mark. Today, I'm going to break down exactly what CAT 2025 tested and what they are actually testing with vocabulary, and give you a set of tricks, tried, tested, brutally effective, that you can start working on from today. Let's go. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, this channel is about one thing and one thing only: to help you crack CAT without losing your mind. Today's video is laser focused on VARC vocabulary tricks for CAT 2025, and I want to be very clear about what this video is and what this video isn't. This is not a video where I dump 200 words on the screen and say, revise karo. This is a video where we analyze what CAT 2025 actually tested in the VARC slot by slot, understand the 4 vocabulary traps CAT sets for students, give you 5 powerful tricks that top scorers use with examples straight from CAT level passages, walk you through the most high frequency word clusters you must know. By the end of this video, you will look at an RC passage differently. I promise you that. One request: like this video right now if you're preparing for CAT 2026. It tells the algorithms this content matters, and it helps me keep making these deep dive videos for free. Let's get into it. Okay, first let's destroy a myth that a lot of students believe going into CAT VARC. CAT tests direct vocabulary like synonyms and antonyms. False. For 4th consecutive year, CAT 2025 had 0 direct grammar questions and 0 standalone vocabulary questions. No fill in the blanks, no synonym, antonyms, pairs, nothing like that. So then why are we making a video on vocabulary, if you may ask? Because here's the truth that changes everything. Vocabulary in CAT is hidden, but it's everywhere. Let me show you exactly where. The VARC section had 24 questions in 40 minutes. That's roughly 100 seconds per question. The breakup: 16 questions from 4 RC passages, 4 questions each, 8 questions from verbal ability, Para Jumbles, Para Summary, Para Completion, odd one out. And here's what the RC passages were about across all 3 slots of CAT 2025. Slot 1, income inequality, electronic music, mental insanity, complex systems. Slot 2, AI and ChatGPT, astronomy, science, literature. Slot 3, blindfish, importance of place in literature, language in AI versus humans, ethics and artificial intelligence. Notice anything? These are not simple topics. They are abstract, academic, often philosophical. The words in these passages are not your everyday English. And this is where vocabulary comes in. Silently, brutally, in 3 specific ways. Way 1, tone and attitude questions. The author's tone can be best described as: CAT 2025 slot 2 had a passage on AI and ChatGPT where students were asked about the author's tone. The options use words like cautiously optimistic, sternly prescriptive, cynically dismissive, neutrally descriptive. If you don't know what prescriptive means, that someone is telling others what to do, you will pick the wrong option, even if you read the passage perfectly. That one word could cost you 3 marks plus 1 negative. That's 4 marks swing on one word. Way 2, inference question. The author would most likely agree with. Now, these are the type of questions jiska answer you will not find directly in the passage. You have to read in between the lines, and reading in between the lines require knowing what the words imply. CAT 2025 slot 1's mental insanity passage had inference question where answer options use words like subjective, empirical, epistemological. Students who knew these words found the right answer. Students who didn't were guessing. Way 3. Para Jumbles and Para Summary. CAT 2025 brought back Para Jumbles after a 1-year absence. In Para Jumbles, transition words, albeit, hitherto, notwithstanding, conversely, are connections between sentences. If you don't know that hitherto means until now, you won't know where the sentence belongs in the sequence. In Para Summary, the correct option often paraphrases the passage using elevated vocabulary. If you can't decode that paraphrase, you will pick the wrong summary every time. Vocabulary is hidden in tone words, transition words, inference options, and paraphrases traps. CAT doesn't test it directly, it tests it indirectly, and that makes it more dangerous. Now let's talk about the tricks. Five tricks, let's go one by one. Trick 1. The root word hack. Decode any unfamiliar words in 5 seconds. Here's the most powerful vocabulary skill you can develop, and almost no one teaches it properly. Almost every complex English word has a Latin or Greek root. If you know 20 to 25 roots, you can decode hundreds of unfamiliar words in exam hall in real time without ever having seen them before. Let me show you how this works. Say you see the word philanthropist in a passage. You have never seen this before, but watch. Phil is love from Greek philos. Anthrop is human from Greek anthropos. IST is person who does something. So a philanthropist is a person who loves humans, someone who gives to charity. You decoded it without a dictionary, without memorizing that word. Here's a power root list for you. Now once you know equi means equal, equivocal, equal plus voice, a statement that can mean two things equally, ambiguous. Equanimity is equal mind, a calm, balanced mental state under pressure. These words appear in CAT passages constantly, especially in philosophy and psychology passages, which CAT loves. Your homework, learn 3 roots per day. In 10 days, you will have a weapon. Trick 2. The Context Decoding Method. You don't need to know the words, you need to know the passage. This is a mindset shift, and it's massive. In the exam hall, if you see a word you don't know, don't panic and don't skip. Instead, do this. Step 1. Look at the sentence before the unknown word. Step 2. Look at the sentence after the unknown word. Step 3. Ask, is this word being used positively or negatively? Is it contrasting or supporting what came before? Here's a CAT level example. The CEO's obdurate refusal to consider employee feedback eventually led to a mass resignation. Now you don't know the word obdurate, but the clues are right here. Refusal is negative action, eventually led to mass resignation, which means bad outcome. So obdurate is clearly something negative, stubborn or unyielding, and that's exactly what it means. Obdurate is stubbornly refusing to change. This works for tone questions too. When CAT asks, the author's attitude is best described as, you can eliminate options based purely whether the passage's language is positive, negative or neutral, even if you don't know every word. Pro tip, in every RC you practice, circle words you don't know. Use context to guess the meaning first, then check. Over 3-4 months, this builds both vocabulary and context decoding reflex simultaneously. Trick 3, the Tone Word Toolkit. CAT VARC asks tone questions in almost every slot. Students who don't know their tone vocabulary lose marks that are genuinely easy to get. Here's the trick. Organize all tone word category into 3 broad categories in your mind. Positive, negative and neutral. Positive tones. Laudatory is praising, sanguine is optimistic or hopeful, conciliatory is trying to make peace, reverent is deeply respectful, effusive is enthusiastically praising. Category 2. Negative tones. Scathing is harshly critical, sardonic is mocking with a bite, cynical is bitterly distrustful of human sincerity, derisive is showing contempt or ridicule, Vitriolic is viciously harsh. Deprecatory is disapproving. Category 3, neutral or analytical tone. Dispassionate is objective without emotion. Didactic is intending to instruct or teach. Pedantic is overly focused on minor details. Speculative is based on theory, not fact. Equivocal, ambivalent, having mixed feelings, not fully committed. Here's the trick to using this in the exam. First, eliminate the wrong category. If the passage is clearly critical, cross out all positive tones immediately. You are now choosing between 2 options instead of 4. That's a 50% accuracy improvement just from categorization. CAT 2025 Slot 3 had an RC on ethics and artificial intelligence. Students who knew that an author questioning AI while acknowledging its benefits is ambivalent, not cynical, got that question right. Students who didn't know the difference between those 2 words got it wrong. Same passage, same reading, different vocabulary, different score. Trick 4. The transition word system for Para Jumbles. Para Jumbles is basically vocabulary plus logic. Miss the vocab, miss the logic. CAT 2025 brought back Para Jumbles after a 1-year gap. So this is critical. Para Jumbles have hidden order signals, transition words, and if you know them, you can sequence sentences like a puzzle. Contrast signals. These come after a contradicting point. Words like however, nevertheless, notwithstanding, albeit, yet, conversely, on the contrary. Continual signals. These words come after a supporting point. Furthermore, moreover, in addition, similarly, likewise. Conclusion signals. These come near the end. Therefore, thus, hence, consequently, as a result. Example signals. These come after a claim. For instance, for example, to illustrate, specifically. Time or sequence signals. These establish chronological order, hitherto, until now, subsequently, after, erstwhile, former, concurrently, at the same time. Here's the life strategy. Find the sentence that starts with a contrast signal. That sentence cannot be sentence number 1. Find the sentence with a conclusion signal. That sentence is likely last or second to last. This isn't just a vocabulary trick. It's a logical framework powered by vocabulary. Trick 5. The cluster learning method. This is the single biggest shift in how you should be building your vocabulary. Most students learn vocabulary like this. Aberration. It means deviation from the norm. And then they forget it in the 3rd day. Top scorers learn words in clusters, group of words that share the same theme, making them memorable and interconnected. Here are the 5 most powerful and most important clusters for CAT. Cluster 1. Words about honesty and deception. RC loves morality and ethics passages. Veracious is truthful, mendacious is lying, duplicitous is double-dealing, candid is openly straightforward, disingenuous is not sincere, pretending to be something you're not, guileless is innocent without deceit. Cluster 2. Words about speech and language. CAT 2025 had multiple AI plus language passages. Loquacious is very talkative, taciturn is habitually silent, verbose is using too many words, articulate is able to express ideas clearly, equivocate is speak ambiguously to avoid commitment, garrulous is excessively and often annoyingly talkative. Cluster 3. Words about change versus stability. Economics, society and science passages. Immutable is unchangeable, volatile is rapidly and unpredictably changing, ephemeral is short-lived, fleeting, entrenched is deeply established, hard to change, malleable is easily shaped or changed, ossified has become rigid and unable to evolve. Cluster 4. Words about attitude and personality. Philosophy and psychology passages. Sanguine is optimistic. Phlegmatic is calm, unemotional, hard to rile. Melancholic is persistently sad or gloomy. Gregarious is sociable, love being around people. Misanthropic is dislike human. Stoic is enduring difficulty without complaint. Cluster 5. Words about support and opposition. Arguments, policy, debate passages. Advocate or proponent is someone who supports something. Skeptic or dissenter is someone who questions or opposes. Detractor is someone who criticizes or belittles. Antagonist is someone who actively opposes. Polemical is controversial and strongly argued. Apologist is someone who defends a controversial cause or person. The beauty of this method is when you see a passage on AI ethics, your mind auto-activates cluster 2 and cluster 1, which are exactly the theme that passages will explore. You walk in ready. Section 3. The 4 vocabulary traps CAT sets. Knowing tricks is half the battle. Knowing the traps is the other half. Here are the 4 vocabulary-based traps CAT consistently sets. Trap 1. The almost right synonym trap. CAT gives you answer options where 2 words seem to mean the same thing, but don't in context. Example, skeptical versus cynical. A skeptical author doubts and questions with an open mind. A cynical author is bitterly distrustful. No amount of evidence will change their view. Same vibe, very different meaning. CAT exploits this constantly in tone questions. Defense. Know the subtle difference between near synonyms. Practice pairs like concise versus terse, candid versus blunt, assertive versus aggressive, skeptical versus cynical. Trap 2. The positive word in a negative context. CAT will use a word like sanguine, which is positive, but the passage uses it sarcastically or ironically. If you apply the dictionary meaning without reading the tone of the passage, you're trapped. Defense. Always read the tone of the full paragraph, not just the sentence containing the target word. Trap 3. The familiar word with an unfamiliar meaning. These are vocabulary landmines, words that look like something but mean something else entirely. Disinterested does not mean uninterested. It means impartial or unbiased. Enervate sounds like energize but actually means to drain off energy, to weaken. Sanction can mean to allow or to punish. Context decides. Egregious sounds like it could mean great, but it means outstandingly bad. Nonplussed sounds calm and unbothered but means stunned or confused. Moot sounds decisive but means debatable or irrelevant depending on context. Peruse sounds casual like browsing but actually means to read carefully and thoroughly. Bemuse sounds like amused but means puzzled or confused. These words are gift to you if you know them and traps if you don't. Trap 4. The para summary paraphrase trap. In para summary questions, CAT will have one option that captures the content of the passage perfectly but uses a slightly wrong tone word, making the summary subtly inaccurate. Another option captures the spirit and the tone correctly but sounds less complete. The correct answer is almost always the one with the right tone, not the one with the most facts. Defense. Read para summary option with tone in mind. Is this the attitude of the author? Not just, does this include all the details? 4. Your 30-day vocabulary action plan. Alright, you have got the tricks. You have got the traps. Now let's talk about execution. Here's a 30-day plan that is realistic, that works, and that won't burn you out. Week 1. Foundation. Learn 10 root words, 3 per day from the list I gave you. Learn cluster 1 and cluster 2 words. Read 1 editorial per day, the Hindu or Indian Express. Circle 5 unfamiliar words. Week 2, pattern building. Learn cluster 3 and cluster 4 words. Practice 2 RC passages per day. Focus on tone questions only. Build your false friends list. Add 2 trap words per day. Week 3, application. Learn cluster 5 words. Practice 3 para jumbles per day. Use the transition word system. For every RC, write down the author's tone in 1 word before reading the question. Week 4, integration. Take 1 full VARC mock per day. After every mock, audit every vocabulary related mistake. Which word did I not know? Which cluster does it belong to? Review all cluster and root words from week 1 through 3. And here's the most important thing I can tell you. CAT does not reward the student who knows the most number of words. It rewards students who use vocabulary as a tool for comprehension, not for performance. You are not trying to impress the examiner. You are trying to understand what the author is saying, what the argument is being said, and which option are logically consistent with the argument. Vocabulary is the lens, the passage is the world. The clearer your lens, the clearer the world. I want to leave you with one thought. Every year, students with identical preparation score wildly differently in VARC. Same mock test, same RC strategist, but one person hits 90 percentile and another hits 99. The difference most of the time is not strategy. It's not how many hours they have put in. It's comprehension depth. And comprehension depth comes from vocabulary. Not 5,000 words, not rote memorization, the right words, the right cluster, used with the right awareness. You now have the framework, the root words, the tone toolkit, the transition word system, the cluster method, the trap awareness. What you do with it, that's up to you. If this video helped you, smash that like button. It genuinely helps this channel reach more CAT aspirants who need this content. Drop a comment below which trick hit hardest for you. Tell me 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5. I read every single comment. Subscribe if you haven't already because we are going deep into every single VARC topic this season. RC strategy, Para Jumble masterclass, odd sentences out decoded, it's all coming. You've got this. IIM nahi dur hai, bas ek smart step dur hai. See you in the next one.